The story begins as a group of demons terrorized a small village. The villagers stand no chance at defending themselves, and can only hide. Just then a flying dragon is spotted in the sky, and a man explains that he has sought power ever since he was a child. He was convinced that as long as he had power, nothing could be taken from him. As he speaks, the man uses a technique that takes out all the demons. However, one still remains, but that one is devoured by the dragon. The man then explains that he got the power that he had always wanted. He summoned powerful Ayakashi monsters to be his servants, and became the strongest in every sense of the word. However, on that very night, he reveals that it was the end of history's strongest exorcist. He states that his students were taken as hostages, and it was all because he sought out too much power. Now he has lost everything. As he dies, the man explains to his student that everything is fine and it's not her fault. He then thinks about how the imperial court is full of cowards for sending his favorite student after him. He states that he lacked cunning but will do better next time. He begins a spell, and explains that he will start all over and try one more time. However, this time he won't fail. Not in his next life. Sometime later, a man recites an incantation, and asks that he be shown the power that the child before him possesses. The spell is successful, but one of the boys watching laughs, as he didn't think what he just witnessed was possible. None of the element stones on the magic circle are shining, which means the ritual is over, and the boy named Saikyou lacks any magical power at all. The man expresses his disappointment, and the other boys mock Saikyou for being an embarrassment. In this world, humans and demons coexist and magic is real. We then listen as Saikyou explains to us that the Lamprey clan is an important clan of mages, and he was reborn as its third son. He explains that his new body has no magic power at all, but it's not a problem since it has incredible spiritual power. Later, Saikyou thinks about how paper is too valuable, so he will try something by using leaves. After a quick incantation, the boy controls the leaves, and states that his leaf shikigami are complete as they turn into animals. His brother Glee rudely asks what he is up to, and becomes upset when Saikyou doesn't address him as Sir. Glee attempts to bully his brother, but the crows protect him, and Taker realizes he might have been too hard on his brother. The eldest brother named Ruff arrives to see if they're both okay, and Saikyou thinks about how Ruff was right to be suspicious, since the crows only attacked Glee. He then explains that he has sent Hichigagami out, so that he can gather information about this new world. Afterwards, Saikyou turns 7 years old, but no one acknowledges him, and he assumes it's because his mother was his father's mistress. Later, Saikyou works on his paper forms and is greeted by a maid named Yifa, who has brought his jacket that Glee threw out. Glee arrives to call the girl a slave, and mocks Saikyou for not being able to go to a magic academy like him. Since he can't use magic, Ladonia Magic Academy is a very famous school, but Glee explains that Saikyou's only hope is going to the army. Their father arrives to take Glee to study magic, and Saikyou asks if he could come along. Outside, the eldest brother goes first, reciting an incantation, and releasing a powerful wind attack. Glee is next to say an incantation and sends out a fireball. He then asks Saikyou to try since their father is watching. The eldest brother asks that Glee stopped taunting the youngest, but is surprised when Saikyou agrees to try. Saikyou then thinks about how he swore a vow to not seek power or to become stronger, and would rather not reveal his spells there. However, he can't stand to watch the strong attempt to exploit the weak and begins a spell. His technique is masterful, and results in an amazing fire and earth attack. Everyone is shocked by the blue fireball that he created without an incantation, and Glee thinks it happened because he left some power in the wand. However, their father explains that there are cases of people who are able to use magic without being born with it, and it is said that the nature of their magic can cause the flame to change color. Saikyou asks if he could learn magic as well, but his father denies him. Since there are no stories of mages born without magic becoming great successes, it's pointless to teach him, but he does decide to give him a tutor like his brothers have. Saikyou would then go on to learn as much about the world as he could. As his father watched them closely, the days and months then pass, and Saikyou states that he has not just turned 11 years old. He explains that in his past life, he had defeated and sealed many powerful Ayakashi, and then forced them to serve him in battle. He points out that seal is just a word to describe how he sends them to another world. He is unsure of what will happen in this world though, so his first Ayakashi will be his least threatening. After saying some words, he attempts to summon something, but when a girl appears, he is unsure if it worked, and states how something feels different. The girl is ecstatic to see him and the two point out how much younger she is now compared to their old world. They assume that it's due to the state of Saikyou's spiritual power at the moment, or the influence of the new world. Saikyou explains that he was just testing things out, and prepares to send her back, but she states that she is sick of the other plane, and would like to hide with him instead. Later, Glee's Goldifa for spilling water on him and plans to teach her a lesson. Saikyou hears the encounter though, and explains that he has business with Ifa. Glee can't stand to see his brother stand up to him but backs off, and calls Saikyou a loser as he warns him to watch his back. Ethan then takes him to a wounded monster and asks if he thinks he can save it. Saikyou states that he will give it a try as he pretends to be shy, and asks Sifa to look away so he can concentrate. When she's not looking, Saikyou performs some magic and heals the creature, but she realizes that he must be able to use healing magic. Ifa points out how amazing he is, but Chika says that he knows she is amazing too, and shocks her when he reveals how he knows she can see things others can't. She tries to deny it, but he states that he has seen her eyes follow the spirits of animals several times. Ifa realizes that he can see them as well, but Saikyou says that he knows she can see even more than that. She was told by her mother never to tell anyone, but Takeya has discovered her secret, so she tells him about the elementals. They gather around magic, but things belonging to Saikyou like his jacket are different. The elementals are extremely attracted to his things but don't gather around him, and are seemingly trying to avoid him. Saikyou wonders if she can control them, but she explains that she only managed to do it once when she yelled at them. Saikyou is glad to hear she can control them, and thinks about how he was never able to do it in his old life. He had looked for someone with that ability with no luck, but a surprise to see that he has found someone like that so soon in his new life. Saikyou wonders if she has any interest in using magic, and she does, but Ifa explains that she doesn't have enough magical power in her to cast spells. He states that magical power isn't important, and someone's what he calls a hierarama, so that she can try and make it disappear. After a few failed attempts at nicely asking it to go away, she yells at it, and it disappears. Saikyou realizes she isn't strong enough just yet, but it's definitely worth making an ally, and as that she let him train her once in a while. Days would then pass as they trained together, and we rejoined the story on the day Saikyou turns 12 years old. Unlike his brother, Saikyou doesn't receive a feast or any presents, and his father isn't even there. He is later approached by Glee, who explains that he will help take a train. His mother was a mistress, so he can't be an heir, and he has no magic, so Saikyou's only hope is to join the army. Ruff explains that the general is teaching them to fight with swords, and they want to train Saikyou. However, just then, the brothers are informed of a large monster that has appeared near the city. Their father drove it away with fire magic, but there is a chance that it is headed straight towards them. Saikyou senses it approaching just before it arrives, and Glee runs for his life as it is a fearsome beast. Ruff tells everyone to take shelter deep in the mansion, and asks he could go with them, but is shocked to find that his younger brother is headed outside. Outside the mansion, Ifa is being attacked by the beast, and Take's too late to save her, but he's surprised to see the Hierodama rescue her. They don't have a will of their own, so this means she must have controlled it herself. Saikyou then taunts the beast into following him, and as everyone watches, uses an exceptionally powerful magic attack to take out the giant beast. He states that the taming is complete since he used a poison that is harmless to humans, but extremely effective against lizards. Everyone is shocked to see how easily Saikyou defeated the powerful monster with just one attack, and now realize how exceptional he really is. Saikyou accepts the adoration, and thinks how everything is going just as he had hoped, as he remembers the vow he made to be cunning in his next life. One day, when an elder nude attacks their house, Saikyou takes it out with a single blast, using his spiritual arts, and his family starts to acknowledge him. He has a feast thrown for him for the first time, and his father congratulates him on his accomplishment, saying that even veteran adventurers would have found the beast challenging to face. His father offers to reward him, so Saikyou asks him to allow him to study magic at the Royal Academy. His father thinks to how he always diligently studied magic on his own, and agrees with the request. However, his father warns him that even though they are nobles, he will still need to pass the entrance exam on his own merits. Saikyou goes on to request for Ifa to attend the academy as well, as his attendant, wanting to keep her unique ability around. Ifa panics hearing this, but his father tells him it would be pointless because Ifa has no magic. So Saikyou decides to show off their training. He hands Ifa's wand, instructing her to command as many spirit flames as she can, and pretend to cast Flame Note. She commands the flames and follows his instruction, shooting an impressive blast. Goliath is shocked she could use intermediate magic, and their father accepts Eva going as well. Goliath objects to his father's decision, saying it would be breaking tradition to send two brothers on the same path to the academy. His father agrees with this, and tells him he will be joining the Imperial Army instead, because he had always played with his sword, instead of improving his magic over the years. Goliath can't accept this and challenges Saikyou to a duel, to see who gets to go to the academy. Their mother tries to stop them, but Saikyou accepts the duel, and their father decides their duel will take place in the morning. Back in his room, Yuki appears, commenting on the drama. There is a knock at the door, and he gets a visit from Luft. His brother wishes him a late birthday and even gives him a gift. Because he always studied diligently, the gift is a glass pen. His brother goes on to apologize for being distant to him, but is glad he turned out into a fine young man. He asks him to take it easy on Glide during their duel, and wishes him luck at the academy. Later that night, Saikyou's window gets blown open and Glide demands for their duel. He couldn't wait for the morning and didn't want to follow their father's rules. He says that Saikyou just got lucky that a monster appeared, and he lucked into defeating it. Glide attacks with his flame knot, showing he can also use intermediate magic, but it has no effect on him. Glide follows up with his windlance, but it's stopped by a barrier. Saikyou takes out a paper talisman, and Glide continues to attack to no avail. Saikyou commands Glide not to move, and he becomes completely frozen. Saikyou scrunches the talus in his arm, causing Glide to feel the same pain. Glide is confused about his powers, and is ultimately forced to concede. He passes out, and Yuki wonders if it was wise to let him see his power and live, but Saikyou says he promised Luft he would go easy. Saikyou thinks back to Glide calling him lucky, but it turns out this was all a part of his plan. We see that 6 months earlier, Saikyou summoned a gigantic cyclops named Nudo. Despite its appearance, it is glad to be able to serve him once again, and Yuki boasts that she was the first one that was summoned. Having researched the monsters in the area, Saikyou tasked the Cyclops to drive the Elder Newt out of the mountain. As he goes to pick up his brother, Yuki wonders why he doesn't show off his true powers, calling the people of this world weak, but he reminds her that it was the schemes of the weak that ended up getting him killed in his previous life, so he will not make the same mistake again. Sometime after, Saikyou and Etha prepare to leave for the academy. Love passes on their father's words, telling Saikyou to study hard, and Etha to take care of him. The two leave, and along the way Saikyou gives Ifa a necklace. She is overjoyed to receive it, and he tells her that they are mana stones, which will help her draw in the elemental spirits. They are excited about their new adventure, but Saikyou starts to feel sick, getting struck with motion sickness, having trouble with carriages even in his past life. He starts to feel better. As they approach the Academy City, a fortress dedicated to pursuing magical excellence, back at their home, his father sees that Saikyou should be arriving at the Academy soon. He thinks back to 12 years ago, when Saikyou first arrived. A woman showed up at his door and disappeared after handing over her child. We learned that Saikyou is actually the son of his brother Gilbert, who became an adventurer after graduating from the academy, but they lost contact when his brother entered the infernal lands. Saikyou's black hair and eyes are rare in this country, and he started using magic when he was only 1, causing Love to distance himself from him, and Glide to become hostile. After finding out he has no mana, he has always known that there was something strange about Saikyou. Knowing there is something within him that could either let him become a hero, or become a lord of evil, he feels bad for sending Blind to the army, but he felt it would be too risky to send Saikyou there. Instead, he decided to send Saikyou to the academy, in hopes it would be a better place to nurture him. Saikyou and Ifa arrive and they get to their room. Ifa is surprised he actually has a weakness. Saikyou tells her that her room is next door, and she seems disappointed, suggesting that she should stay with him for the night, since he is her master now. Saikyou misinterprets this as staying for dinner, and says he has lost his appetite from the ride. Although disappointed, Ifa leaves to find him some food. Yuki bursts out annoyed, saying he has no clue about girls, and points out that Ifa is in love with him, even using her position as his slave to her advantage, and Saikyou is left in disbelief. Later, the two explore the city, but Saikyou senses a strange energy. They continue on to register for the entrance exam, and when Saikyou reveals he is from a noble family, everyone around takes notice. Ifa introduces herself as his slave, surprising the others. There is a magic tool that measures mana, and Etha is shown to have an affinity with wind and fire. When it's Saikyou's turn, nothing happens, and the woman is confused. Saikyou reveals he has no mana, and the woman tells him he can still register. The other students start to gossip, saying he will get in because of his family. Ifa gets mad hearing this, accidentally leaking our flames. The gossip stops as a girl confidently walks past. Saikyou knows this is something about her, and she introduces herself as Amu. As she places her on the device, it radiates with a blinding white light, meaning she has a strong affinity with all 4 elements. Everyone is amazed seeing this, and Saikyou calls to her. He thanks her for stopping the gossip, but she says she wasn't trying to help him, saying that she is actually annoyed by him, thinking he can get in without any magic, and says he would just get in our way. But Saikyou recognizes her as his prized disciple from the other world. Although her appearance is a little different, he can tell that it's her.
The two take the written exam and Effa worries about how she did, but Saikyou tells her she can make it up during the practical exam. During the practical, the examiner explains that there are targets set up for each of the different elements, and their score is the total of all the targets that they hit. The students proceed to chant their spells and fire at the targets, but Saikyou is not impressed by their attempts. It comes to Afa's turn, and she uses her flame note spell, creating an enormous flame, and even causing the flame-resistant target to burn. Everyone is shocked she used intermediate magic without an incantation. Afa continues on to the next target using her windless spell, which completely destroys the target. She apologizes for the damage and she is still nervous about passing. But Saikyou is amazed that she used wind magic, and she tells him she has been practicing on her own so she could surprise him. Seeing her growth, Saikyou starts to tear up. Saikyou gets called up for his turn, and the others gossip about him having no mana. But Saikyou shoots his fireball and they are shocked by his blue flame. Saikyou moves on to the earth target. Using his knowledge of spiritual arts, he destroys the granite target by turning it into a crystal. The examiner panics, wondering what spell he just used, but Saikyou quickly moves on to the water target. Using one of his talismans, he uses his frozen arts, producing water, which she turns into a glacier. Everyone is left shocked, and Saikyou wonders if he overdid it. After the exam, the examiners are left in disbelief, especially since Ifa was measured to have weak magic, and Saikyou was meant to have no mana at all. They talk about all the exceptional students, and we see that Amu performed even better, completely destroying all 6 of the targets. They think that she could even be the hero, that the legends say will appear when the Demon King is revived. A few days later, the results of the exam are posted and Effa worries about failing. Saikyou finds himself in 3rd place and he wonders who could have beaten him. It turns out Effa is in 2nd place and Saikyou can't believe that she beat him. They see that Alma came first, and Ether is impressed by her. A few days later, they get their acceptance letters, and they head to the academy for the welcome ceremony. Effa worries they won't be together because they are going to be in separate dorms, but Saikyou tells her not to worry. He suddenly gets a strange feeling, and he asks Ifa if she can see any spirits. Effa reveals that there are a number of dark spirits and Saikyou goes to investigate. They find a huge magic circle and feel something is off, but since it could be the academies they decide to leave it alone. But Saikyou leaves behind some of his talismans. Inside the academy hall, there is a feast for the students, and Saikyou can't help but grab some food. Amu starts to give a commencement speech as the student representative, but as she speaks Saikyou has a feeling. As the magic circle is activated, he feels something approaching and the doors are suddenly blown open, and there are some lesser demons that appear. The students panic and run. Saikyou sees that the demons seem to be looking for something. There are some that stay behind and fight, but Saikyou sees how weak they are. One of the demons approach and Saikyou prepares to step in, but the demon gets cut and Amu steps in. She uses her windlance on the demon and engages it in battle, but Saikyou notices something is off. He looks around the grounds using his talismans, and finds the caster by the circle. He warns Effa to stay safe and disappears, leading only a talisman. Saikyou approaches the demon in the forest trying to talk with it, but the demon calls him a fool for challenging him. He summons some more lesser demons, sending them to attack, but Saikyou instantly crushes 2 of them, and even traps and captures the 3rd one. The demon is impressed, introducing himself as Gallius, the metal demon. Saikyou attacks using his talisman but the demon destroys it. Saikyou is surprised it could see his invisible talismans, and tries it again with more talismans but they also get blocked. The demon shoots out Blade, which Saikyou easily dodges, but it suddenly reappears, and he realizes the demon can teleport the blades. The demon can also shoot fire, and as Saikyou jumps to dodge, the demon appears behind him, cutting him, and he ends up losing one of his arms. Remembering that the demons were searching for something, Saikyou asks what he is after, and the demon reveals that he is looking for the hero. Saikyou says that the hero is just a legend, but the demon insists that it's real. saying that the years of peace have caused people to forget and just think of it as a legend. He reveals he received an oracle 12 years ago, and believes Amu to be the hero. The demon continues to attack with his blades and Saikyou gets impaled, and the demon finishes him off. As the demon turns to head for the hall, Saikyou is revealed to be completely fine. The demon is confused how he is alive, and Saikyou gets stabbed in the head, but says he can just revive. The demon is determined to kill him, and then stop the hero before she becomes the strongest. But Saikyou laughs of what it means to be the strongest. The demon attacks but Saikyou dodges, and floods the area, creating a whirlpool. But the demon gets away using his teleportation. He reappears, and Saikyou opens a gate, summoning a thunder beast that strikes him with lightning. Having drenched the demon beforehand, Saikyou thinks the fight is over. But as the smoke clears, the demon is missing, and he suddenly gets stabbed from behind. But Saikyou says he is the one that caught him, and there is a huge explosion. Despite this, the demon survives, and starts to get back up, powering up, and says that Saikyou must be out of his talisman soon. But Saikyou reveals he has plenty to spare, saying he has been diligently making them for years. Deciding to bring things to an end, Saikyou opens the gate to one of his strongest servants, bringing out his dragon serpent. The demon is shocked to see such a beast, saying that even the demon king wouldn't have a dragon, as it rushes at him, and crushing him with a single bite. As Saikyou tries to call back the dragon goes wild, and it tries to get away. Saikyou gets his talismans after it, and manages to herd it back and into its gate. Saikyou is surprised it rebelled against him, thinking it must be because of his weaker state in this body. Yuki suddenly appears, wondering if it was okay for him to use so many body double talismans, but he says it was necessary to work out the demon's attack patterns. Saikyou returns to the hall and Afar is worried about him. Effa tells him that Amu ended up taking out all 3 of the lesser demons by herself, and the other students look at her shocked but also concerned. Seeing their looks, Saikyou can tell that she will end up just like him in the past. He is determined to help her become the strongest, so he can sit back and enjoy his life instead. 1 month after the demon attack, the academy has calmed back down. Saikyou tries being friendly with Amu, but she acts cold toward him and completely ignores him. As Saikyou and Ada walking to class, there is a pot above them that suddenly spills, but Saikyou manages to teleport out of the way. Professor Cordell apologizes for spilling the pot, explaining that it is a special mixture of monster blood and minerals that he is using for his research. He was trying to move it with his magic but ended up spilling it. He apologizes once again and heads on his way. Saikyou and Effa get to their next class. Their professor tells them that the founding anniversary is coming up, so she needs the top 2 students, Amu and Effa, to help out with a ritual. The professor explains that they need to take the new student roster to a temple in the forest and have it blessed. Saikyou thinks it could be dangerous. Having fought the demon there, he asks what would happen if one of the students declined, and the professor tells him he would be next in line. Hearing this, he orders Effa to give up her spot. The other students are shocked, but Saikyou says that such an important ritual shouldn't be carried out by a slave. After class, he apologizes to Effa, and she realizes that he was trying to take the attention of Amu, who people had started to resent after her performance against the demons. She wonders if Amu is his type, but Saikyou says he just wants to be her friend since she is the strongest. Effa gets jealous hearing this, saying that she can also become strong, but Saikyou tells her to imagine being so strong that she is both praised and feared by everyone. A few days later, Seek is handed the roster and he heads off into the forest with Amu. Amu is suspicious of him, thinking he is trying to hit on her even when he already has Effa. Saikyou tells her it's all a misunderstanding, and he has nothing going on with Effa. Amu's head suddenly hurts and Saikyou notices a magic circle. They think it's strange and it suddenly activates, transporting them into a dungeon. They are engaged by 3 lizardmen, but Amu rushes at them using her fireball, and taking them out in an instant. An ogre appears behind her, but Saikyou summons a wood pillar and crushes its head. Amu finds his spell to be strange, but Saikyou plays it off as a spell he learned being a noble. They start exploring the dungeon, and Saikyou lights the way using his talismans. He leaves a trail, sticking talismans to the ceiling, and Yuki wonders what he is doing. He explains that he is leaving a trail so that his Shikigami on the surface can hopefully find him and help them get out of the dungeon. Yuki suddenly notices more monsters approaching. Amu charges at them once again, but as she fights, her head hurts and she gets knocked out. Saikyou rushes to help her, using his wooden stakes to impale all the monsters, but there are just too many. Seeing that Amu is passed out, he summons a giant centipede, which is able to take out the rest of the monsters. When Amu wakes up, she is surprised all the monsters are dead. Her head hurts again but feels better when Saikyou puts up a barrier. He tells her his barrier can block curses, and he wonders when she started getting the headaches. She says that it was ever since she enrolled at the academy, but doesn't think it's a curse because she hasn't noticed any marks. Saikyou says there are some places she can't see, which concerns her, but she ends up stripping down so he can check her body. They don't find any marks, but Saikyou says it could be hidden in other ways. Seeing as the barrier stops the effect, they can assume she is cursed. Ama wonders if she will have to stay in the barrier forever, but using a strand of her hair, Saikyou is able to create a substitute for her. The two get to know each other better, and Ama wonders about his relationship with Effa, saying that she is in love with him. But Saikyou says they are just family, which Ama finds amusing for a noble to call his slave his family. But Saikyou tells her how he was always treated like an outsider, and Effa was the only one who treated him normally. Amu talks about our own family, but it seems to be a sensitive topic, so Saikyou asks her what she likes to do. She says that she likes to fight. She's loved fighting ever since she was young, but her parents found this weird, because most people would be scared of getting hurt or dying. She was even a part of a party that got wiped out, but she wanted more and everyone thought there was something wrong with her. She came to the academy so that she could get stronger, hoping that if she became the strongest, fighting would get boring and she could be more normal. But after fighting with the demons, she had too much fun, so she thinks there is something wrong with her. But Saikyou tells her she isn't weird, and she thanks him for letting her vent. Saikyou finds the exit to the dungeon and the two continue on through the dungeon. They come to the boss room, and find a gigantic Nada monster. It spits acid on its Saikyou, but Ama distracts it with her wetlands, and Saikyou summons a metal spirit to pin it down. Amu uses her fireball, causing a chain reaction and explosion. Ama takes the opening, and stabs it in the head, finishing it off. After the bowel, Ama hugs Saikyou. Overjoyed, they manage to take out a dungeon boss. They head to the treasure room where they find a methyl sword, which Saikyou gives to Amu, and Saikyou gets a magical ring. The two finally manage to escape, and they report everything back to the professor. She didn't know there was a dungeon under the temple, and because the magic circle is gone, they aren't able to find the culprit. However, Saikyou pays a visit to Professor Cordell. After the demon attack and getting sent to the dungeon, Saikyou realized there must have been an inside man. The professor is surprised, thinking he had gotten rid of any evidence. Saikyou tells him to reveal his true form, but he is actually just a human working for the demons. Looking at his ritual, Saikyou calls him a genius. Cordell is proud of himself, revealing it's a curse that uses light magic to kill its target from a distance, under the guise of an illness. He starts gloating about how he will kill Ama with it, but Saikyou points out how he is protecting her. The curse is targeting those who were covered in demon blood, because Ama had killed all the demons, but Saikyou summons the demon that he captured and covers himself with its blood. He becomes a target of the curse, but using a counter-curse technique from his past life, he is able to send the curse back to the professor. The professor feels the effects, and starts bleeding out. Saikyou is actually impressed he developed a curse from scratch in this world, but as an exorcist, curses are his specialty. After the encounter, Yuki wonders how he knew the professor was the culprit, and it turns out that his Shikigami found pollen on him, which was only from flowers near the magic circle. Having solved this problem, he hopes he can finally get back to being a normal student. He gives Effa the magic ring, which helps her with attracting the elemental spirits. He tries being friendly with Amu, but to his surprise, she still acts coldly towards him, but has somehow warmed up toward Effa, and he is left confused about when they became friends. But that's where this anime ends. As always, if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel.